Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Adrian here for Digital Dojos. First and foremost, I hope that you're staying safe and wishing you all the best. I know it is a crazy climate out there right now, and it has been a minute, 6 months to be exact. However, haven't been completely gone from the internet. If you follow me on my socials, you'll know that I started a new YouTube channel, my main channel, my personal channel, to replace or kind of start anew from that of the channel that I started over a decade ago, the Laker Coolman channel. So if you're interested in kind of the behind the scenes look, lifestyle vlogs, be sure to check out that link and subscribe down below. That being said, right now, I know arguably I feel like it may be the best time to be producing content, to be bringing you all some form of entertainment, talking a little bit about everything else that's happening outside the world, and just to talk about technology, something I've always done here on this platform. And I want to do just that. So today we're going to be taking a look at my daily devices, my iPhone 11 Pro Max here, and my iPad Pro. This is the 2018 edition, and how I use them on a daily basis. I think right now is a really great opportunity to kind of do a audit of your digital lifestyle, the apps you use, your devices, clean them up, and kind of the end result is what I have left here. So let's take a look at what's on my devices. All right, with that, let's start off by taking a look at what's on my iPhone. My daily driver here for work and just daily use in general. It's my iPhone 11 Pro Max, 256 gig model. Let's take a look. My philosophy when it comes to my home screens is to keep it as minimal as possible. This was previously a 4-page home screen that I just condensed before this video to a 2-page home screen. And I follow this kind of philosophy is the most used apps are always on the first page. I want to minimize the amount of taps I have to do to get to the apps I need to get to on a daily basis. I know there's spotlight search and all of that nowadays, which makes it super simple and easy to get to the apps you need. But again, reducing that amount of friction and steps. On the top row, my apps that I've always had up here, calendar, photos, clock, the standard apps. Camera icon always goes in the top right for all of my phones. It's just a force of habit at this point. App Store, we all know what that is. And then we get into the third-party apps. First off, Overcast. Overcast is my podcast app of choice. It's where I listen to all my podcasts and subscribe. You can see a lot of the ones I'm listening to right now. Tim Ferriss Show, Kevin Rowe Show, Joe Rogan. A lot of these shows are named after the people themselves, so you can see there. Next to that is Audible. Audible is my audiobook platform of choice. I say was because I'm going to talk about what I'm using currently in a bit here. But yeah, I'm still a member. I still have a gold plan, so that's one book a month. The difference with Audible is you pay for a subscription, you pay a monthly fee, and you get a credit towards a book. You can pick from any book in their library, and then you own that book. And we'll talk about the difference there when I get to my next app here in a second. Or a couple minutes. Snapchat, we all know what Snapchat is. YouTube, it is my, obviously being a creator, I have the YouTube app, but on top of that, as a consumer of content, I have the ability to, of course, just go in and check my subscriptions. Yelp for all things food related. I'm not a big Yelp reviewer in the sense that I leave reviews, more so I am a consumer of people's reviews because I am a consumer of food and I want to know where to go and what's good. Bear is my note-taking app of choice. It is a markdown editor, so you can see here, I can go ahead and just say asterisk hello, and that will bold it. So if you don't know what markdown is, it's like a form of editor that allows you to use kind of contextual things like the asterisk to bold and whatnot as you type to kind of make it more efficient. I was exposed to this by the kind of programming / Mac community back in the day, and Bear is a markdown supported editor. On top of that, Bear has a lot of cool customizable features. I like how it organizes the notes with the hashtag system, so you can easily access stuff. And yeah, just overall a really cool customizable note-taking application that also syncs across all my devices. So I pay for Bear Pro so that I can have it on my iPhone, my iPad, and my Mac. Todoist is my to-do app of choice. I've had all sorts of to-do apps. I've tried all sorts of to-do apps. For years, I've always been that person who's spending way too much time researching productivity apps and actually being productive. But I've always kind of just came back to Todoist in the last year or so. I've just stuck with it. It's simple enough where I can make really easy to-do list, grocery list, complex enough where I can, do these kind of structures for a company network, right? I can go into all of the clients that I personally manage and see all my to-do lists for them. Instagram, self-explanatory here. It is the app of choice as far as just social networking goes. It's probably my most used app on my phone. Feel free to follow the boy at Kid Guru on Instagram. Uber, another self-explanatory app I use for travel. Sonos is the other big application here on my phone, always on my home screen because our apartment is pretty big Sonos supporters, as you can see. I have it in my living room, I have it in my bathroom, I have it in my bedroom that I'm in now, and my roommate also has a Sonos, so we're a very Sonos-supported household. Speaking of music, Spotify is my music streaming app of choice. I feel like people don't necessarily plug their Spotifys, but I guess I'll throw that link in the video description if you want to check out my playlists. They're all public, especially right now, to introduce some vibes to your life. Feel free to check that out. But yeah, I'm a Spotify premium member and have been for quite some time. Highly enjoy the service. 1Password. 1Password is my password manager of choice, and it's one that I just got into in the last year as well because I was previously using LastPass and tested out Dashlane. We moved to it as a business, and I also chose to move to it personally. That way I can have all in one place. Password managers, they store all your passwords in one place and allow you to set one master password to access them all. And the great thing behind this is it keeps it secure. It allows you to set unique logins for each account rather than you having, I'm sure we've all been guilty of this, using the same password, some variation of it across all of our accounts, which isn't very secure. So 1Password helps you generate super secure passwords that you don't necessarily need to remember. You just need to be able to access it via your master password and then auto log in to all of those accounts. Outlook is my mail app of choice. As you can see, I have a ton of inboxes, over 10 plus here, that I manage for myself and my clients. So email is very, very important, and I get a ton of it every day. So managing it is also important. I use the Outlook app for iOS, and this is the one app that breaks my kind of unification in the sense that I use Outlook for iOS, but I use an app called Spark for the Mac. So yeah, I'm still trying to wrangle all that up in one place. Next up, we have Twitter, which I'm sure you all know as well, another social networking application. Feel free to follow me there as well. And moving on, Jira. Jira is just a ticketing help desk platform for some of our clients that we use, and I access it quite frequently for their accounts. So yeah, that's where I get to see the help desk portal. Then we get into the folders. My first folder is my finance folder, all things money related. My bank accounts, Zelle, Venmo, the traditional apps for sending money, Robinhood for tracking some stocks that I buy through that, and then Truebill, which is a all-in-one kind of management platform for my finances in the sense that you can put like your bank account or credit cards hooked up to this, and then you can see all of the reoccurring purchases that you have on said account. The next folder is my smart home folder. This is everything related to all the devices we have throughout our apartment, as well as just our clients' offices. So for example, like my Harmony remote for my universal remote. Stockwell is a vending machine that we have here in the apartment that you can open via the app and see what's available. Things like Unify Video for security cameras, and then Keysy and Brevo for some of our clients who have like remote entry to get into a office. We can use these as card readers essentially. So it makes it really convenient just to have your phone on you, obviously, than having to carry a key card around. And then we have other apps on here like Eufy Life, which is for my scale, and then Auto Sleep I use for my Apple Watch to track sleep. You'll notice that Hue Light is outside of that folder, and that's because it's something I access frequently. My lights are pretty essential, obviously, in our apartment and in my bedroom. So having to minimize the amount of clicks I have to take to get to that app is better. Slack, another app I'm not going to open right now just because there's a lot of confidential information in there. It's a workspace for all of our clients. It's our personal workspace for our business. If you don't know what Slack is, it's essentially a communication platform. It's an instant messenger. It's a collaboration tool for a lot of companies that use this personally, professionally. I know in the Bay Area, it's widely used. So yeah, Slack. Moving on to the second homepage here is a lot of just folders, as you'll notice. First up is my work folder. TaskRabbit is for booking contractors. Freshdesk is our internal ticketing system. Then we have the G Suite apps like Google Drive, Google Sheets, and Docs. Okta Verify and Google Authenticator are apps we use for 2FA or two-factor authentication. We practice this a lot in business and just personally. Highly recommend you look into setting up two-factor on things like your email. Essentially, when you log in from a device that's unknown, or you log in from like a remote location that you don't typically log in, it's going to make sure that you authenticate across your phone. So that way, if somebody has your password or has access to your laptop, they can't just get into your account. Space IQ is a seat chart tracking application that I use for certain clients who support and use this application for me to see like where people sit and whatnot. Scribd. Disclaimer, this is one of our clients, by the way, but this is the app I've been using recently for audiobooks. They charge a monthly fee, so you pay like I think $10 a month, and then you get access to their entire library of books, ebooks and audiobooks. So versus Audible, where you're getting one book a month with that gold plan, with Scribd you're getting multiple books within their library. I know it doesn't look too great right now because the app is taking a while here to load. But yeah, the idea is that when you get into it there, you have access to your library or their library of books for a monthly fee. And again, it's like $10 a month for full access to all this stuff here. All right, moving on, we have the networking applications. Again, this is just to manage like client gear, so Cisco, Meraki, Unified Network. Orbi is the Netgear equipment that we use internally here at home. And then the speed test app allows me to run internet speed tests when I'm out and about or just testing my own connection. The food application, or the food folder, I should say. These are all food applications like Uber Eats, Postmates, and Starbucks for deliveries or just ordering on the go. Blue Bottle, the same thing when I'm a big proponent of their cafes and just across San Francisco, I go to a lot of Blue Bottles, so I can order before I even go in and place my order through the app. Zero is kind of the opposite of all of this. It's the absence of food. It's fasting, so it allows you to track fasting. I used to be doing intermittent fasting in the past, and you can track all of your history and all of that. Recently re-downloaded the app here so you can see no streaks going on right now. But yeah, the idea is that you can quickly and easily track your fast via the app. It's a really great interface, and it's actually, I think the team behind it is Kevin Rose and his team who designed that app. Camera folder here, this is all camera related applications, so things like Huji or Facetune, basically all the stuff you see on very, very popular influencers when they edit photos and whatnot. A lot of these apps are what they use. Visco or VSCO is my default app of choice. As you can see the boy right here. This is what I use to edit my photos on Instagram. It allows you to apply some cool filters and do some really in-depth editing. Cut Story is basically what this does is it allows you to instantly cut video for things like Instagram. So when I was doing a lot of Instagram stories, I could take a 2-minute video and automatically splice it into 15-second chunks so I can easily upload it to Instagram. Kira, this is another app that just kind of does like this kind of crazy sparkly effect on the videos or photos. So if you ever have seen that, it has nothing to focus on right now. But I have, like, for example, a video here I took in the past. It adds a cool effect to the photos or videos that you may be taking. Unfold is another photo editing application similar to that of Visco or VSCO. And I think I didn't mention this earlier, but Huji is just a camera like effect app. So you can see the boy right here in his robe, and it takes these photos that kind of look like these old school kind of cameras there. So yeah, it makes that look. Last but not least is Double Take. This is an app that came out recently. It allows you to do really cool stuff with the latest iPhone. It allows you to take multiple views and angles using all the different cameras that are in, or the lenses that are in an iPhone. So the ultra wide lens, the selfie camera, the telephoto lens, all at the same time. Moving on, the social networking folder. A lot of these apps are just apps that I have to check sparingly. Things like Facebook or Messenger for family, Viber for family. HBO Go and TV are in there, though they don't need to be, so that needs to be fixed. Discord for the squad that I play games with a lot, my good friends. We keep communication through there. Reddit and Apollo are both Reddit applications. One is the official app, one is a third-party app, and I've just been testing kind of both there. Travel apps, these are all pretty self-explanatory. When I book airlines here or flights, I like to have kind of a variety depending on the membership or airlines I'm traveling with. Kayak for just kind of looking up stuff in general. And then things that are relative to like my location. So for example, Caltrain and Muni are relative to that of the San Francisco area. Then the utilities folder, I'm just going to skip over that because that's the apps that everybody has and doesn't use really. Nowadays, though, you can actually delete these. So if you highlight them, you can delete the apps that Apple kind of pre-packages. I have enough storage on my phone where it's like I just keep them there just because if I ever need to access them, they're there. And then lastly, the miscellaneous apps, things like SoundCloud for listening to things that aren't on Spotify. Raintree Partners is our apartment complex app, so that's where we get updates there. Zoom lately with the remote climate we've been using to meet with clients. Spark is that email app that I talked about that I use on my Mac that I'm now testing out their mobile app to see if I like it. Anchor is the app I use to create podcasts. I actually do have a podcast out on iTunes right now called Transparency. It has no set topic, no set schedule. That's how I like to describe it. So if you want to subscribe, feel free to anywhere you get podcasts. But Anchor allows me to distribute that all in one app. Amazon, of course, for shopping and spending money on things I probably don't need. Pocket is a way for you to save bookmarks of links. So like when I'm browsing some social media or whatnot, and I see an article or a video I want to watch, but I don't have time to like do it in that current moment, I can just save it into Pocket and then kind of like read it later on. Tally is an application I've been testing recently. It's for like daily things that you want to track or do, whether it's weekly or on a day-to-day basis. Let's say I want to drink like 10 cups of water. I can track it by just simply tapping every time I finish a cup of water throughout the day. Google Photos. I'm an iCloud user. I have a 2 terabyte plan. I just recently upgraded to, so I'm not too worried about storage. But I think in general, it's always a good idea to have a backup, even of your backup. So I have multiple places where my photos and videos go to. Google Translate, pretty self-explanatory. I use that a lot actually with my family being in Japan and friends still back there. It's always useful to have. Nordstrom and The RealReal are apps that are shopping apps, for like clothes and designer brands. Apps that I hope not to be on too often. Otherwise, I definitely feel the repercussions of that. But yeah, Nordstrom, very popular chain. The RealReal is a luxury consignment store. So like people sell their luxury goods to them and they resell them back. Citizen is an app that I recently downloaded. Being here in the Bay, it's widely used. Can't open it because they'll show location, but basically it shows what's going on around you in terms of like police reports or crime that either users report or like police reports, so you can kind of stay safe and just be kind of socially aware of what's going on. Files is the default Files app. I use iCloud. I have iCloud storage, so it's a quick, easy way for me to sync files across all my devices. And lastly, Heads Up. Heads Up is just a game that's pretty popular. I recently downloaded to play with some friends. But one thing you will notice is I don't have a lot of mobile games on my iPhone at all. It's funny because I think that's the only one I have. I used to always have a ton of games on my iPhone back in the day. That's all that was on my iPhone. And you can see the shift to having one game on my iPhone right now. Not much of a mobile gamer, to be honest. I do have a Switch, which I've been playing a lot lately. Love that. I have a console, Xbox 360. I have, of course, the PC, which is probably my main gaming platform. I just don't really tend to game on mobile all too often. And with that, the last thing is I guess my dock. That's always just kind of been the same. It's my Google Chrome browser. It's the phone app because, surprise, surprise, I use my phone as a phone. Text messaging and the settings app. That never really changes, right? The top row of my home screen and the bottom dock are pretty much always universally the same as I upgrade from phone to phone. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is my iPhone. And with that, we're now moving on to my iPad Pro. I know the iPhone took quite some time here, but honestly, my iPad is relatively the same. I do want to show a couple different apps that I use here for my iPad workflow. I bought the iPad Pro mainly for that of work, to have a mobile device that wasn't necessarily my 16-inch laptop, something perfectly in between a phone and a laptop, and that's how I use my iPad Pro. A lot of the apps you'll see, again, totally the same all across. So I'm not going to reiterate a lot of those, from Bear to Doist to YouTube and the stock apps. Really, the main apps here that I use exclusively on my iPad lately. Trello, we've been trying to switch to internally as a company for project management. So I've been testing that out here on the iPad. Really great on the screen form factor. Notability is my app of choice here. So you can see this is just like my notes here that I've been taking, and I tested this out against good notes here, but you can see some notes I took on this project right here. But I can just I have an Apple Pencil, so here is me writing, which you can see is atrocious in my handwriting. Even digitally and on paper has never been great. But yeah, so that's how I take notes. I love, having that kind of feel of using like a pencil or writing. Even if it's digital, it kind of gives you like the best of both worlds. And I really like how Notability has like certain features where you're writing and you can like draw a shape and it'll autocorrect certain things for you when you're drawing or writing. Really cool features there that you can use throughout. Tweetbot is my Twitter app of choice on the iPad. I like it over the default one just because of like some of the features they have built in, like lists and whatnot. Other than that, really the main thing that's different here is just more a lot of the creative apps, so things like Procreate, which I don't honestly use too much, but I was messing around with here, as you can see in the past, for like drawing and coloring and whatnot. You can see, again, works of art like this one right here. But yeah, Procreate, just a really cool way to kind of really test out my Apple Pencil is why I got it. Again, other stock apps that I use also on my iPhone, as you just saw. Some exceptions, things like Medium. So for content consumption with the bigger screen, I have the iPad Pro 11-inch. Content consumption is just much better on a form factor like this. I prefer to read content on my iPad, or especially like when it's like late at night and I want to have like a device on the side or whatever. I prefer to use the iPad versus the iPhone. Content consumption, Netflix, I have this on my iPad because when I'm like traveling or whatnot, I don't tend to like watching like long form content on my phone. I've never been a fan of like the smaller form factor, so it's much more like suitable for me on an iPad. On the secondary page here, which is kind of all over here, you'll notice my iPad is not as organized as my iPhone is, but that's because I just don't have that many apps here either. A lot of the stock apps that I just showed. Unsplash is an app for me to get wallpapers, so that's where I get my wallpapers on my iPad here. Just really simple, really easy to use, and they're all like royalty free for you to slap on your wallpaper. Momentum 2 is a really, really great game that I played. Beat Momentum 1 was also amazing. The art and the kind of gameplay behind that. I tend to have more games on my tablet than I do on my phone just because I use the devices differently, even though, the iPad is a lot primarily used for work. I really, really like the tablet games and the kind of adaptation they have on the bigger screen. So again, Momentum. Robinhood for stocks, Prime Video for Amazon, and then a lot of the other standard apps that I have on my iPhone. The only difference here is stuff like Crypto Pro, which I use for tracking my cryptocurrency portfolios, and that of like the market in general when it comes to cryptocurrency. But yeah, that's my iPad Pro. That one was easy. Nothing too crazy here. Nothing totally, out of the box as far as like the workflow goes. Again, I'm pretty simple. I like to keep it succinct across my devices, so I don't have too many different apps on each one. If I use something and I like the ecosystem, I try to keep that uniform across my devices. So yeah, this is my iPad Pro. Like I said, again, using the Spark app for mail here, as you can see on the dock. I really, really love the iPad OS update, and that really changed the way I work on the iPad. I love that you manage apps. You can do the split screen, so I can like open, for example, Medium, and then I can open up another application like Files here on the side. iPad OS makes it really, really easy. A couple other things I really use this a lot for example, for a client, I was just recently adjusting a heat map for their network, so I was just going through and marking up a PDF here. Really, really great. I deal with PDFs a lot in my line of work, and having the ability to carry around on my iPad, go onto a client site, do a survey, and mark it up on my Apple Pencil makes it super, super convenient. But yeah, that's my iPad Pro. Quick, easy, and to the point. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are my devices. So I just want to quickly show you what I'm up to nowadays as far as my workflow goes on my iPhone, on my iPad. Again, 2 devices I use on a day-to-day basis. Personally, professionally, I'd say a lot more work focused nowadays. But yeah, when it comes to just day-to-day usage, what apps I have, kind of daily essentials, I hope this kind of gives you some idea of that and allows you to look at some apps yourself that you may have not known or ever tried out. Again, for me, a lot of this is about ease of use. A lot of it nowadays is about just like having an ecosystem that all works together. Trust me, in the past, especially when I was doing things like screen cap and making videos for clients and doing app reviews, my phone was just filled with all sorts of applications, all sorts of games. At one point, we had a client who wanted us to do the top 100 apps in the App Store. So I literally had all of the apps, like the top paid apps in the App Store, on my phone. And I've seen them all. I've tried a lot of games, the great ones, the bad ones, just the whole library stuff. And nowadays, I just try to keep it quality over quantity. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I wanted to add some levity to the situation. And just, get out there and shoot a video, get creating again, and just throw something out for you guys. And hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a lengthy one, but I wanted something to share with all of you. And I hope you got something useful out of it. And as always, subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed. And I can honestly say now, stay tuned for more content. Catch you in the next one.